Yesterday I was doing a hard session in my gym, and whilst I was doing the hard session, I noticed that next to me, my friend, also from the building, is doing work on the other treadmill, but doing like 1 to 2 minute intervals, sprinting, and then doing some different deadlifts, different lunges, different squats, etc. So it looked like a CrossFit workout, but I wanted to ask him. So when we both finished, we were both exhausted. I asked him what he was training for and what he was doing, and he has an athletics background. He's from the UK, has an athletics background, and he's training for CrossFit, and what I'd not really ran before because he's done a field event, but wants to get better at running 400 meters, 800 meters, and a mile. And we were talking through this because it's a topic that often comes up, and a lot of people contact me about how to get in good running shape for CrossFit, because obviously it's getting more and more popular, and it's a huge thing over there. I'd say it's taking over athletics, especially in the US, but I can see it here in Dubai, in the Middle East, and it's definitely getting bigger in the UK and in Europe. So yeah. And he was talking me through him, essentially he's trying to become better at running a mile, which is often the biggest or the longest run that he has to run. So for him, that's about 6.5 minute mile. So he's doing a lot of kind of deadlifts, a lot of weights, upper body and lower body, and then having to run, which is obviously the difficult part of CrossFit. And the thing that I love about CrossFit is it's an all-round workout. It's not just kind of going to the gym, lifting in order to kind of get more kind of in proportion in order to get in better shape. It's actually getting fit for purpose, which is fit for lifting stuff, and then fit for running, and then fit for the air bike he was telling me about, and fit for fit for the rowing machine, which are all brilliant stuff. And I massive respect for that. And as I've said before in things, anything that you've got a passion for, anything that's making you get up, think about it, and actually go out there and get it is fantastic, whatever it is. But we looked at his training, and he asked me how he could get better at running, because obviously that's what I seem to be doing, with probably kind of like 90% running and then 10% weights, whereas he's having to do probably 70% weights and then 20-30% running. So how could he get better at that? And we looked at what the competition would look like, and it goes in stages like quarter-final, semi-final, and then final, and what that would look like. So it's not necessarily being good as fast as you can, like a race. It's not like being good for 10K and being as fast as you can for 30, 40, 50 minutes. It's about doing those rounds and therefore recovering in between, which is really important. So we talked about recovery and rest and being able to kind of freshen up ready for the next race, which might be an hour after, 2 hours after, depending on your schedule during the day. But for me, I said I was going to go and take it. He sent it to me, and then I would go and analyze it and see where you kind of train better in order to get faster. And I think the main take home from me is his training was all geared towards what you would do if you were a mile runner, or if you were a 1500 meter runner in athletics. So you could run the mile as fast as you possibly can by just doing 300 meters. You could just start with 4 times 300 meters, do 5 times, do 10 times, do 15 times, do 20 times. Just get good at that with short rests in between, maybe 15 seconds jog, 30 seconds jog, go again, and you could become a good 1500 meter runner. That works because essentially you're getting your heart rate to a point and you're not letting it go too much down before you go again. So you're not letting it go. So then when you piece it together and run 5 times 300 meters, 1500 meters in a race, 1500 meters, almost a mile, then you're able to do that because you've got the speed and you've got the speed endurance, so that can work. Why that doesn't work for CrossFit, and the little secret that you can add into your workouts, is essentially you're doing a lot of work, and maybe there's some endurance in that first of all, but usually towards the final, you're doing your work, you're doing your weights, you're doing 20 to 40 to even more weights, and then you're doing your mile run. So it's not like you're training for a mile run. And I think that's the mistake that he's making, and a lot of CrossFit people are making, is the training for that short distance, when in actual fact, you're putting so much high intensity interval training into your body in the form of weights, and then you're going ahead and doing a mile. So it's like you're doing the last mile of a marathon as that mile, and it seems fresh. It seems fresh to anybody that's watching because it's only a mile, and it's only a mile, so it's only 5 minutes for the fastest people, and it's only 7-8 minutes for the people at the back. And you know, there's all that fatigue in the body, there's all that fatigue in the muscles. So you've got to get to a point where you've got the endurance, and so that adding endurance into adding a long run into his gradually increasing long run into his workout is going to help him like 10 times. But the fact that he's going to be fitter to lift repetitively weights and like basically it's almost like speed endurance for the weights. So he's going to get good at repeatedly lifting over and over and over again. There's going to be more endurance there's going to be less lactic acid buildup, more clearance, better clearance of lactic acid in his body in order to lift repeatedly for 20 to 40 minutes, however long that is. And you know, in the early stages, much less than that. But then when he gets to that point where he's running a mile flat out as fast as he possibly can, he's got so much more because, and this is the main point, he's built a bigger engine. Lungs, heart, blood are the keys to running fast. Whether you're running a mile, whether you're running 400 meters, whether you're running 800 meters, whether you're running a marathon, whether you're running ultra marathon. Lungs, heart, blood, it's that simple. And to build that, if you call that your engine, your cardiovascular system, to build that, you need to work in low intensity for long periods of time. So I'd suggest to him that his longest run is 30 minutes that he's ever done, yeah. And more recently, within the last 3 months, he's not run more than 20 minutes, because why would you if you're running training for a mile? It seems like that. It seems logical not to run more than 20 miles if you're only training to go as fast as you can for 6.5 minutes. Why would you run more than 3 times as much? The reason you'd run 3 times as much is because you want to build that engine so it's great for your run, and you're not just running a mile. I promise you, it's like you're running the 13th mile of a half marathon. It's like you're running that final mile of a half marathon, or a final mile of a marathon. It's so much more than that in CrossFit, and it's going to help the rest of his game. Whatever is thrown at him, and that's the key. That's the beauty of CrossFit. Whatever is thrown at you on race day, you're ready for it, because you've got a massive engine and you're super strong in order to do that. So if you mix those two together, you build the engine, you build your speed endurance, and you've got all the strength, you're gonna be unstoppable. And so what I'd suggest he does is he starts next week with a 25-minute long run. And that's just super slow, and he can do weights afterwards or weights before. It doesn't matter when he does it, because he's training to mix the two together. Then a 30-minute long run, a 35-minute long run. Maybe the third week, and I do this once or twice per week. Yeah, it's easy to do it twice per week, and it's easy to factor that into the Wednesday and the Sunday, but I would mix into that long run some interval training. So if my 35-minute long run, let's say you started with the 25 and then 30 and then 35-minute long run, within that 35 long run, I'm going to do 10 times 2 minutes at threshold, as fast as I can go for 2 minutes, and pace them really well, have a minute jog in between, and then go again. So that's 10 times 2 minutes with 1 minute in between. So that's 30 minutes of your 35 minutes. So you can factor stuff like that in on your midweek, and then on your long run on the weekend, you can be able to go further and build the engine, because you're just going slow. It feels really easy. But over the weeks, if you do 35 minutes, 40 minutes, 45 minutes, build up to an hour and even more than that, and then put something in the diary. Put something in the diary like a half marathon that's going to take you an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes to complete. But once you can do stuff like that at the weight that he's much bigger than me, then you've got that big engine, and then together with the speed endurance, the big engine, and the strength in CrossFit Games, you're unstoppable. Simple as that.